Hello everybody, welcome back to Real Flight 5.5. My name is Captain Klaus from FS Flyboys, and today we're going to be doing another video, just like we did in the intro here just a few days ago. I'll be doing another Real Flight RC Sim video, and we'll probably be switching between a couple different airports and some stuff like that. So, having some fun with that. And you guys can see right now, I have my monitor. You can see what's going on the monitor, so I finally got that to work, and hopefully that will make the last video as choppy, unfortunately. That's how it was. So, and I'll try and fix that, but that's how the software did it. So we're going to go ahead and get into the sim here, and it looks like we're working. All right, so right now you can see right now we are at Santa Clara County Model Aircraft Sky Park again, as just as in the last video. And we have the AC 54 3D with the gyro set up as well. You can see moving. Go ahead and reset that. I figured, oops, my trim clicks, bump that. I figured today we'll probably, let's see, probably switch aircraft. Probably start out with something different today. Rather than the Yak, let's go. Everything's fun to fly on here. I can fly everything on here. Let's see. And we got the Mustang, always a good aircraft. Likes to bounce though, unfortunately. That's one problem I have with that plane, is it bounces like crazy. So that's something we need to fix. Oh, we have a Harrier. Did forget about that one. I guess we'll fly that. This one's pretty fun. Except, yeah, we'll leave in the Marines Corps paint scheme. Go Marines. I'm gonna do that one. Now this one, they did make it a jump jet, just like in the last video, just like in real life. The flaps down that seat, you can see the nozzles move right here and here. But you can't see right here. The nozzles move, which is pretty cool. So what we'll do here is we're going to go ahead and do a vertical takeoff. More elevator there. You're up. Do some pirouette turns and whatnot. I'm actually going to land for a second. I'm going to adjust the sound. I know it's really hard to hear me, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust that right now. Brakes on this jet, but they're not as good as you think. So I'm going to go ahead and kill the engines there. I'm going to go ahead and switch back for just a second here. I'm going to go ahead and adjust our sound real fast, just so that our ears aren't bleeding when we're listening to this, because that would not be fun. All right, switch this back here. Check. All right. That's better. A little better. Okay. I'm actually going to switch aircraft again. Let's see. What else we got? I don't usually do this all that often, so whenever I find something I kind of like, I want to fly it. Oh, there's our 300L. That one's always a fun one. Let's see. I might go back to that one. There's something else I don't want to fly. We have a Super Decathlon back there. System 182. Here's a cap. I'll go back to the extra. That's always a fun one. Oop, there it is, 300L. Let's check our color scheme out here real quick. There's red and yellow. Yellow and blue. Ooh, I like that. Let's go with that one. Use that one. All right, awesome. This is comparable to an extra 260 that we have here at the house that we fly with at our model aircraft field. Make sure I got the right control deflection in. That doesn't look like full control to me. Oh, I guess it is. Okay. I'll have some fun with this. I think I have smoke. Yep, I do. Alright, taxi down here. A little bit more power here. Let me turn around. Alright, good to go. Let's see. Check controls real quick. Excellent. Alright. Turn the smoke on here once we get up to altitude and get going. So let's go and get a little bit of power. Thrust into it, and off we go. Just full power, little backstick, and it lifts off nice and easy. Smoke on. Well, you can't really see it that well, unfortunately. The sky's not blue enough here. They took it on a cloud. They took this picture on a cloudy day, unfortunately, which is not the best. That maneuver right there is called a knife edge. You basically stand, you could watch the controller there, what I'm doing. You basically stand the aircraft on its wingtips and kick rudder into it, rudder up. So you actually kick the nose up. It's actually a fairly easy maneuver to do. I can't remember if this thing will flat spin or not. I think it does. Kick rudder. Let's just see here. Yeah, it takes a second there, but it will flat spin. Not very well, though. Full power there. You can see, try and keep the wings on standing up as possible. You have to kind of fly it. It kicks the rudder and it holds that attitude there. Roll it inverted. You can fly the plane inverted and do a whole bunch of low passes and all that. Usually do a lot of that in our field. This thing doesn't hover too well, though. That is one thing I have noticed. You do a hover, you just kick it up like this. Not as easy without a gyro on it, I will give it that. It's going to hold a lot of backstick. Don't hold too much, though. You could flip the aircraft over, and then you lose the hover. I was a little higher than I'd like to be, not as good a viewing experience. I'm not the best at hovering, but I can hold the aircraft in a position if I need to. You can see there's a lot more control movements and holding of the aircraft than there were on the gyro. The gyro, I could let go of the controls, but if I let go of the controls of the aircraft, the nose will drop, which is not good. Oh, went behind the flight line there. That's a club rule. Most airplane clubs, they have the fence as the flight line. You're not supposed to fly behind that because it can endanger people in the pits. Which is not good. You don't want to do that. Go up here and we'll do a stall turn. The aircraft tumble a little bit. See if I can high alpha this thing around. I'm not sure if it will, like the Parkmaster would. or the Yak for that matter. It's got to hold a lot of backstick and just keep the throttle at the right position. If you have a good throttle response, you can easily do it. Oh, come on, stay with it. Oh, come on. There we go. Takes a lot of rudder control, it takes the right amount of throttle input, ailerons to help stabilize the wings. Turning is where it gets difficult because you can lose it and the aircraft will sometimes decide to tend to flip over, kind of like it's doing right there. And it wants to do that again, so I need to pull the power off and then just let the nose settle up. Let the nose pop up, I guess. Not settle, pop. Hold it. Believe me, this is a lot easier in real life with a real life aircraft. They did make this as good as possible, but it's not perfect. You can just pull out of that and then some weird flipping maneuver in the air and then roll it out and pull it up. You do aerial tumbles. Let's see if I can do a Cuban 8 for you here. A Cuban 8 is, I'm actually going to go on this way. A Cuban 8 is, it's an interesting maneuver. You actually do a figure 8 except vertical instead of horizontal. So we go like this. Give it full power here. What we're going to do is we're going to go up. We're going to roll, and the smoke will help trace this. You want to roll out, pull down across, come back. There's the cross. Up again. And roll out, and hopefully cross in about the same position. Obviously I didn't there. I don't really do Cuban 8s very much, but it's a pretty interesting maneuver if you can make it work for you. It's actually pretty cool. Turn the smoke off. Go ahead and bring it around and land it. And just like a full-scale airplane, we have a traffic pattern that we like to do. We call this our initial pass. If you have retracts, called a gear pass. Check the gear down. Then we have a midfield brake where we turn right there, go midfield. We turn onto the downwind leg, heading away from you. And then at this point, turn onto base at the edge of the runway. You don't want to get too far out so you can still see it. And once you're on final for the runway, just start easing the power off and let it descend. Most of these aircraft are pretty good at floating in. Oop, little hop there. There we go. And you always want to hold backstick on some of these bigger ones to keep the tail on the ground so you can steer it. That's one of the big things about this type of aircraft is you have to do that, or you can have problems. Kill the engine there with the K key. And then I'm going to go ahead and change our airport. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to go to Evergreen here, which is a great one. This is more comparable to the field we have up here in Kalispell. And for this one, I'm going to switch aircraft. I don't want to fly this. This has got a really... It's actually a road. I think it's somewhere in California. I'm not sure. But it's a photo field. Let's see, this thing right here is impossible to land, but it's extremely fast. Actually, we'll go ahead and use it. This is called the AR-6 Endeavor. It's an F1 pylon racer. That they use, I think in Formula 1 class racing. It doesn't have very good steering on the ground. It takes very wide turns, unfortunately, but it gets off the ground in no time flat, so. Come on, go stop. There we go. So I'll show you here. You can look down if you want a little bit, but if I push up on the, there's a little button right here. If I push up, I can look, and that's the wind sock again. They place that at every runway. They don't have this in real life. But let's do a quick control check. Looks good there. Alright, go and give it some power here. We'll take off. So quickly reaches about 60 miles an hour on the runway. Well, road. I guess road would be more appropriate. See, we're already up to 120, and you can see where my throttle position is, about half power. This thing is fast. It's very fast. It doesn't have a big fuel tank, and it runs out of fuel quickly, so we have to use the speed sparingly. Go ahead and add the thrust into it here. Bring it around, so we're up to 200. 16 miles an hour. 228 miles an hour. We can rip the sucker around here. And it rolls very fast. It's got a lot of controllability to it. It's very maneuverable, which is surprising for how fast it is. Quite amazed at how fast it really is. Back. But the thing about this aircraft is it's impossible to land it without bouncing it because of the way the landing gear are so stiff. They have no give in them. You can't land this thing any slower than about 40 miles an hour. It stalls because it's got no wing. Well, it's got such a thin wing, it has no lift generated by it. So you can still roll. It doesn't roll as quickly. Still doing 100 miles an hour, and you can see my throttle's all the way back. I'm going to try just an approach here. Practice approach. You can see I'm still doing 80 miles an hour, which is way too fast. I may land this thing with the engine off. I don't know. It may come to that. Let's just see if I can put it down smoothly without bouncing it, but that's impossible. It's going to want to bounce like crazy here. Yeah, see, that's bad time. Go around. It does not take much to get this thing going around, so you want to keep the throttle as low as possible and just try and hold that nose up, keep it slow, because if you can do that, you can three-point it and then it will stick. But you know, what must go up must come down. And unfortunately, the way gravity works, when the plane descends, it gains airspeed, so you have to keep that speed down. I guess I'm around 34 miles an hour here, and this is where you can get into trouble real quick. Trying to land it. To 42. I got almost full backstick in it right now. Oh boy, come on. Oh boy, come on. It's just floating in right there. Yeah, we're going around. Go around again. That's twice now. But 2 bounces now, and it's impossible to land because it won't settle down. It doesn't have flaps either, so you can't put any drag on the aircraft to help slow it down. If we had one of these for RC in real life, it probably would not be as bad as this one, and we'd probably be able to put wire struts in it so it wouldn't bounce. It's horrible. It's a total. I guarantee this is a wire strut, but it's really thick one, so it probably has no give in it. Come on, settle down. Oh, gee, look at that. 39 miles an hour, which is an optimal landing speed, and it still bounces, so that just shows you how difficult this thing is to land. It's not hard to fly at all. It's an easy flying aircraft. It's just on landing, it just does not want to cooperate. I didn't use a whole lot of fuel in the high-speed passes, so we should have enough here for at least 2 more attempts. It's just trying to slow it down. If you get it down below about 35 miles per hour, she gets pretty tippy on the wings. Now, I'm at full backstick right now, just trying to hold that nose up It's just barely, oh, 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 that was what I was worried about, tip stalling. There we go. That's actually the smoothest landing I've made with it ever. It has no steering whatsoever. It's really wide turns. It's almost impossible to steer this thing. You have to give it engine thrust and then give it rudder so it'll actually steer. Kill the engine there. And it's just a skid is all it's got on the bottom. Oh, don't hit the pole. Ah, hit the pole. Alright, that's okay. That's okay. I'd rather have it stop that way than stop a different way. Crashing. Let's see, what else do we have here? And we got helicopters, which I'm not really that big into. Never really flew those a whole lot. Let's see what else we got here. I might take the P-51 up for a little spin. And yeah, they do have water airports because you notice some of these have floats on them. Well, they do have lakes. They do actually have water airports that you can fly at. Let's go to the Mustang. Oops, went too far again. There it is. Take the P-51 to show you this. Check our controls here real quick. There's our flaps. We actually have canopy that opens, which is pretty cool. Let's shut that. Go ahead. And the smoke engages when the canopy engages, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the canopy back so the smoke is off on the taxi. Alright, go ahead and get us flipped around here. This thing does not take off. This thing takes off in a fairly relatively short amount of space. So I'm going to put the canopy closed. And just give it some power here and we'll take off. And gears coming up. And flaps up. This one flies a bit differently than the P-51 that I have for myself, and actually my picture on my YouTube channel, the profile picture, is actually that Mustang. That is the exact plane that I own and I fly. So it's pretty cool. Got high-speed pass here. Now the engine sound that they have in this thing is it's a Super Tiger 4500, which is Super Tiger engines are not very good at all. Actually, they're not great engines. Great RC engine companies. You got OS, which is probably one of the higher ones. OS is a Tower Hobbies brand. DLE, which is also a Tower Hobbies brand. DA is one of them as well. Some of the other engine companies, if you have Horizon Hobby, you have Zenoa, you got Evolution. Those are their two big ones. For Motion RC, it's mainly electrics. So their own aircraft companies usually make their own ducted fans or motors for their aircraft. There's another company out there that makes radial engines, RC radial engines. Like if you look at a Corsair, F4U Corsair, that has a radial engine on it. There's a lot of RC Corsairs out there that have the Moki 5-cylinder radial engine on it. It's like I think it's a 250cc engine with 5 cylinders, and it sounds amazing. They are so cool, but they are extremely expensive. And I'm talking a lot of money here. Looks like the aircraft wants to dive on me. That little clicking action you hear, the little beeping, that's the digital trim on this aircraft. I'm trying to make sure it'll fly straight. And that's what you want to do with all aircraft. Once you get up in the air, is you want to trim them, see what they do. Just don't mind, just ignore it. Looks like elevator looks pretty good. Ailerons look good. Oh, still wants to dive on me. And you just want to trim it to where it flies what we call happy, where it flies very stable and controlled, where it doesn't take a lot of control movement to do it. And there's a lot of different maneuvers I'm showing you here. That's called a 4-point roll. You picture an aileron roll, a normal aileron roll. I might actually bring up the binoculars so you can see what I'm doing there. Might be a little bit easier for you. Bring that up. Let's put that up. Yeah, right there. Okay, so if you guys look at that down in the left-hand corner down here, that's a close-up view of what the aircraft is doing right now. And I'm going to show you. You can look at the angle of what the plane's doing. So if I do a 4-point roll, picture a normal aileron roll. This is what an aileron roll looks like. That's an aileron roll. If you picture a point roll, a point roll is typically where you roll the aircraft very quickly to a, if you think of a clock, like your wings are now at 9 and 3. You want to roll the wings to 12 and 6, then you go to 3 and 9 or 9 and 3, whatever, and then back to 12 and 6, and then do that again. So we'll go ahead and make a 4-point roll on the downwind here. I'm going to keep it a bit closer, so if you guys don't want to watch the binocular view down there, you can look at the main aircraft actually flying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the wings level, I'm going to pop the nose up slightly, and just go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's a 4-point roll. It wasn't the best, not very even, but that's basically what you do. You just snap the aircraft over and roll it very quickly. Try it again here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if you're really good at doing rolls, you can do an 8-point where you have to now double it, and you split those rolls in half, which can be very difficult. And you can also do a 16-point if you want to. Try an 8 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that's not going to. Okay, rolling out. I'm not doing that again. 8 points are difficult because you have to know how to cross control and add rudder and elevator, so you know how to keep the aircraft flying level. Because there's a lot of pilots who can do that level and never ever lose any altitude. And I know a lot of pilots who can do an aileron, a very slow roll. Slow rolls are very difficult because you have to know how to control them. I'll go ahead and try one of those now. Yeah, they're not the easiest. I'm not the best at them either. My brother's pretty good at them, but he's younger than me and he shows off, so. I'm more of a scale pilot. I just like to fly around and do a whole bunch of stuff. You know, I'm not a big risk taker and all. I like to save my stuff so it doesn't crash. But you're probably thinking on the sim, who cares? You can just press the reset button. Well, yeah, but it's always nice to fly the same aircraft you start out with. That way you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff, so you know you had a good flight. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel the binocular view. And we'll go ahead and make a gear pass on this one. Actually, I want to keep the binocular up there for you so you can see how the landing gear deploy on this thing is pretty cool. Alright, gear down. Doors drop, gear come down. Now, normally on a real Mustang, the doors would go back up again, so I'm going to go ahead and put the flaps down. And now I'm going to pull the cockpit back so the smoke turns off. I'm a little higher than I'd like to be, but that's okay. This is a typical Mustang profile I would do with mine. Fly about that altitude. Slight nose down angle for descent. Now it's saying I'm climbing. That's a little odd. Just pull the power back slowly. This thing's a lot easier to land. Nice, easy. Oop, little bounce. Just bounces like crazy. Mine does not do that. I'm going to do that again. That was bad. And mine does not lift off that quickly either. I'm going to try that again. That was a bad landing. I want to land a bit closer to me too, so maybe not go out as far. But that was bouncier than I wanted it to be. My Mustang that I have hardly ever does that. Only if I had more up elevator than I should on landing, it will do that, but I still want about the same distance out, and that's okay. I can see what the aircraft's doing, it's not a big deal. I'm not using the binocular view with it, I'm actually watching it so I can see how close I am to the ground. Ooh, a little bit too much of a descent there. God, it's twice. I have not done the sim in a long time, so it's different for me flying this aircraft versus my P-51. My P-51 is a lot different. Flies about the same, but lands a heck of a lot different than this one does. And mine sticks to the ground. It doesn't do that bouncing crap. So I think it's partially the way they have the landing gear and coating set up for this thing on the computer, so try and get it real slow here. Just try and three-pointer down. Alright, go around one more time. Did not get the speed, and I didn't get the throttle setting I wanted in time, so we're going to try that again. This time I want to be a bit lower than I am. I'm a little bit, I was a little higher at 100 feet. That's a little higher than I usually am for an approach. That'll work. I'll take that one. Oop, keep the tail on the ground. I will definitely take that landing. Raise the flaps. Taxi off. Kill that one too. I think I'll do one more aircraft. Let me just go ahead and turn off the binocular view there. I think I'll do one more aircraft and maybe call it a flight, but there's another airport I want to go to. Let's see. Select airport here. These are all the photo fields, which means they're real. Let's see, we got the sod farm. This one's real. Here's Lake Douglas. This is another one. Grass Flatlands. Now I want you to know something about Grass Flatlands. That runway right there, that's a fake runway. It may look real, but it's actually fake. Real Flight put that in there because this is a grass field. It is fake. I know some of you saw Air Race Stadium. That's one of them in the Sierra Nevada file. This is Air Race Stadium right here. It's a fictional field, but it simulates the Reno air racing spot down in Reno, Nevada. It has the big checkerboard pylons that you race against. The start-finish line, long grass runway, goes out to here, but it's all fake. They created this, and they put it in here. I fly here quite a bit, but I'm not going to today because I can go FPV here, and I don't want to. Let me see. There's a ton of other ones here. There's a lot more fake ones than real ones, unfortunately. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those up. We'll go to... I wanted to go to Gold Country Air Modeler Park. This is in California, I think. Yes. It's at Beale Air Force Base in California. And I think those starter stands are real. Pretty sure. I think those are real. Maybe. The field is. The fence is... this fence over here is not. That's fake. They added that. This fence right here, this is true to the actual airport. So we're going to go ahead and go here. It's got an interesting runway to it. And you can see when they took this, it was very cracked, but it had been sealed. That target right there is actually probably for helicopters. You know what? That's what I'll fly. I'll fly a helicopter for you guys. And some of you may go, nah, I don't want a helicopter, but I haven't done one of those yet, and I probably could do one. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out a Dominant. Where is it? There it is. 3D90. We're gonna get the flybar version, not flybarless. This one's more stable. I'm gonna turn our controls off. So you can see, now, the helicopter's controls are very interesting. This is the collective. You can operate the throttle and the collective at the same time. So we have a negative collective right now. The aircraft will roll, the head actually tilts, but this actually physically moves the rotor blades. The tail rotor, it moves. It's got its own collective. To engage the motor so I can throttle up, we're going to use this switch here. We're going to go and give it a little bit of throttle here. And there's another switch you can engage that I will hit in a minute where it actually will, it turns off control of the engine. It basically sets the engine to full power so you have control of the collective so you can do inverted flight. So, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go and give it some more throttle here. The engine's motor spool up. It's pretty loud though. It's very sensitive on the controls. I have not flown this in a while. Get it up there a little bit, and there's our engine now up to full power, and now we have control of the collective. So you can roll it, you know, all that stuff. I'll show you what I mean by inverted. So I roll it inverted, and I can, the more I give it down throttle, the more it actually will go higher. If I do this, it goes lower. So I'm going to go and pull it up out of there. I might crash this, I don't know. I have not flown a helicopter in a long time. This thing will do about close to 100 miles an hour. Pull it up and wants to flip over. Just the pitch is so high, it actually, if you get it too far up there, the aircraft will actually pull itself up and whatnot. So gotta be careful about that. You can do aileron rolls with it. More towards the center is more your dead zone where it'll hover. Anything below that, it's going to start climbing or diving on you. So you want to be careful about using that middle as your sweet spot. Think of that as your zero position. There's an aileron roll. You kind of alternate by going back and forth on the throttle so it stays level while you roll the sucker. Do one more for you here. Coming at me? Come on, get over here. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty neat. So we're going to go and flip it around here. It does tail spins like you can't believe it. It pirouettes. Crazy. This helicopter is one of those things where you got to be really careful with it. So turn off our full throttle here. That's full deflection down. So I'll slow the rotor blades down. We'll just go and kill that. There's one more helicopter I want to fly. You probably saw it earlier. It's the medic flight one. Let's see, Bell 222. Here we go. This one's pretty sick. It's got retracts. The flybar is there just for stability, purposely. So we'll go ahead and get some thrust here. Let the rotor blades spin up. Keep it stable, lift off. And gear go up. This one's kind of a pain in the neck to fly because it constantly wants to pull the tail back. The tail always wants to come down on it, so it's constantly wanting to do that. So you kind of have to keep it always on its nose, which is not the best configuration to fly this helicopter in. I get a lot of rotor flutter. If you get the pitch too high, the RPM drops like crazy, and I get a lot of rotor flutter with this thing, and which is not good because it could shake itself apart if it were to have a problem. If you can make it work for you, it actually hovers really well. Just got to know how to keep the collective centered, so to speak, so it doesn't want to go forward or backward. Let's see if I do this. It struggles on the climb, and it actually eventually it may stall out. I don't know. I don't know if a helicopter technically can stall. That's something you want to be careful. If you pull too many G's, you'll just rip that rotor head right off. You can see it's fluttering right there. It's big time fluttering. That's what it does. The Dominant does not do this. This one does. All right. Start steady it out. Bring it around here. I'm going to drop the gear. What's going on with this thing? What is going on here? I think I might... kill the power there. I don't know what it was doing there at the end. Full stick to help the rotor slow down. I wonder if I lost part of my... No, my flybar is still there. This helicopter, for some reason, it just does not like to do that kind of stuff. It just... Oops, wrong button. It just does not like to do that. I don't know why. I'm gonna kill the engine there. Not sure why it likes to do that. It's very picky and particular about certain things, but I'm not sure what it was doing there on the end of the flight. Alright guys, so I think that's a pretty good overall tour of Real Flight for a second video. I definitely will have more to come in the future. So as always guys, leave a comment, like, subscribe, share this with your friends, and until next time guys, Captain Klaus, Memphis Flyboys. Take care.